I mean, well, we're talking about families, right? So we're talking about people celebrating Thanksgiving, Christmas, or for a lot of my friends right now would be like Chinese New Year. It's always that touchy subject. Parents, relatives, all asking uh, the same questions. I mean, it feels a bit like running a gauntlet. I mean, it's supposed to be about celebration and togetherness, and then comes the inevitable barrage of questions and comments that can make everyone dread these occasions. But, when you think about it, the questions usually revolve around the following topics. When are you getting married? When are you having kids? Why are you single? How's your job going? Or the not so subtle comparisons with other relatives, like, oh, look at so and so's kid, and look at so and so, your cousin is doing this, doing that, making this much money, blah, 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 blah. And then they're also bragging about, even not just bragging about themselves, they're also bragging about their children. Look at what my kid is doing versus what your kid is doing, and questioning your life choices. Sounds familiar? I mean, I definitely know this from personal experience. But here's the thing. For the most part, these questions are not meant as personal attacks. And you might disagree with me on that one, but I'm telling you, for the most part, that is not the intention of your loved ones when you're in these scenarios. Like, deep down, the person throwing these questions or poking at you in this way is often just trying to validate their own life choices and their own line of thinking. The brain of theirs is going along the lines of, if I convince you to see things my way, it proves I'm right. And if I'm right, it means I'm doing well in life. That's all they're trying to do. They're trying to validate their life choices or their life belief systems. And being right gives them that sense of external validation that, I'm doing well. And when you look at it that way, almost everyone in the world is like that. They're not out to hurt you. Actually, for the most part, most of them believe that they're being helpful. They're offering advice based on their perspective of what's right. Usually, the people who end up hurting us anyway aren't really malicious. They're just ignorant and stuck in their thinking. So, another factor there is, like, these relatives really don't know the ins and outs of your life. They have like a snapshot picture of what they think is going on in your life and who you are according to them. They're operating on very limited information, and they're just making assumptions on what little they know based on their existing belief systems. So to some degree, you could say that it's not really about you. Whatever they're saying is about them. So how do you navigate these conversations without losing your cool? Because it's still very tiring and exhausting to deal with people like that, especially if you have a tense relationship with some of your relatives. So let's say you have someone starting to dive into, say, your job or your career situation, and it feels like it's heading into lecturing territory. You might as well just ask them, hey, are you genuinely interested in what I do? Or are you looking to give me advice? And if they're genuinely curious, like if you're genuinely curious, great, let's have a chat. If not, suggest changing the subject to something more enjoyable. Or just telling them, I think it's better if you talk about something else, because I'm not really looking into getting advice on my work life right now. I'm doing just fine. Thank you. So what about if you get boxed into a conversation that you don't want to have? You can get into that state of, like, saying, oh, I'm not really in the mood to talk about this topic, so let's talk about something else. I'd rather we have a pleasant time together and just enjoy this time together, because it only happens once a year. I'd rather not spend it talking about something that is just not very enjoyable. Can do that. But what about when you get already triggered? When you're already triggered and you're being pressured by someone to make a decision or pressured to answer. Say like a group of your relatives are like all around you and somebody asks you like, "Oh, are you dating anybody? Why are you not dating anybody?" And then everybody's lol looking at you, or and it feels like you're being put on the spot and you're already triggered. It might like my favorite one is to just say, "You know what? I need time to think about this, to make a decision or answer when I'm in a much calmer state of mind, because I don't like answering when I'm in too much of a heated state already." Then walk away, breathe, calm down, and come back to it later. Or maybe if you're still not calm but you need to go back in, you can just come back. You can come back in and just say like, "Still not ready to talk about this topic. So let's just park this and talk about something else, shall we?" So those are some of the ways that you can kind of manage these situations. I mean, navigating family gatherings is really difficult for a lot of people who have not resolved a lot of issues with regards to their relationship with their immediate family, usually with parents. But the whole point of these family gatherings, in theory, is supposed to be enjoying the time with them. But hopefully these will help.